All right, so you're planning on moving to Austin, Texas, somewhere in the general vicinity of Austin, and you've seen my videos, or maybe you've seen some other stuff talking about Dripping Springs, Texas, one of the suburbs out here of Austin. So what this video is all about is, where is Dripping Springs, Texas? I'm going to take you through a map introduction of Dripping Springs. I'm going to talk about other towns around it, the small communities, where it sits in regards to Austin, the airport, things like that, where it sits in the state of Texas. And I'm going to talk even a more granular level about some of the subdivisions around here, what they're close to, which ones are better for commuting into Austin, which ones might be better for commuting to the airport or to other parts of the area, and you know, some of the things that are going on. Because if you're out in Dripping Springs, you're seeing all this new construction, and there's a lot of it going on because a lot of people love where I live and where you might be living too. So guys, Chris Peshek, Dripping Springs home team at Peshek Properties, and this is what I do. I love helping people move to Dripping Springs, Texas, and find their own little piece of the pie. Guys, Chris Peshek, Peshek Properties, Dripping Springs home team, and this is what I do. I love helping people move to Austin, Texas, Central Texas, Dripping Springs, Texas, any of the areas around here. So if you're thinking about moving here in 9 days, 90 days, 9 months, does not matter. Get in contact with me and I can definitely help you out. And if you find the value on this page just extremely valuable to you, which you probably will if you're moving to this area, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification, because you're not going to want to miss any of the videos that I put out every week. All right, let's go check out where is Dripping Springs, Texas right now. All right, let's take a look at where Dripping Springs falls in the state of Texas. If you saw the video that I did on where's Austin, Texas, I started out just like this with Texas as a whole. I'm going to talk through kind of some of the major towns and then zero in on exactly where Dripping Springs is. So one of the major things that I talked about last time, this big triangle that's growing so fast in Texas. So up here to the north, you've got the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Down here southwest, well, we'll say south central is San Antonio, because southwest is actually over here Big Bend. And then you've got Houston over here southeast. So that forms this giant triangle. And right over here in that southeast part of that triangle is Austin. Okay. Now, I've talked about this triangle before being important in Texas for a couple of reasons, but one of the major ones is most of the growth in the state is happening between these three cities. Houston's growing very quickly. DFW is absolutely exploding and continues to do so. And San Antonio now has started as well, and that market is taking off too. So what you have are three interstates. Okay, over here on the east side, you've got I-45. Right here through the center and runs through downtown Austin, you've got I-35, and here between San Antonio and Houston, you've got I-10. Okay, and now obviously you've got I-20 up here and I-30 up here and everything else, but these three interstates are what make up this part of Texas. So I'm going to go ahead, delete this. Let's zoom in a little bit, and let's talk a little bit about exactly where Dripping Springs is. Okay, so I'm going to come in here to Austin, and we're going to stay just north, or with San Antonio at that south boundary. And you can see Dripping Springs coming into view right here on the west side of Austin. Okay, right here. So if you've, again, the other video I talked with Austin was about all the growth that's going on. And if you follow growth patterns, and this makes sense from just a logistics standpoint, growth is going to happen along major road corridors. So what you have around the Austin area is you have I-35 that comes down through Kyle Butte, San Marcos, New Braunfels, and down to San Antonio. Okay, you've got I-10 right now going out through Seguin and again over to Houston. Seguin is another city that's growing very quickly on the outskirts of San Antonio. You've got 290, which is going from Austin through Dripping Springs to Johnson City and out to Fredericksburg. If you're a fan of wine or Texas wines, Fredericksburg for some reason is known as the Napa Valley of Texas. It's because there's a ton of wineries out here, but I wouldn't mistake the wine you're going to get out in Fredericksburg for anything you're getting out of Napa Valley, but there's some good wines out there. And then on the other side of this, we've got 281 that goes from Johnson City through Blanco, Blanco, Bulverde, and down into San Antonio. And this continues north to the north side of Austin. There's some other towns up there, Burnett, close to Liberty Hill. That area is growing very quickly too. But when you zero in on this area around here, this is where a majority of the growth is happening right now. So you've got Austin growing very quickly through Kyle, Buda, San Marcos growing south. San Antonio's racing up 35 north to New Braunfels. And actually, I was on 35 yesterday, and it seems like I was only there about a month ago. And there's so many more just construction projects and buildings and everything else going along. This area is growing very quickly, and pretty soon there's not going to be any stop of housing and development between Austin and San Antonio. It's going to be one long city along 35. 281 is growing very quickly out the north side of San Antonio, and in fact, they're expanding this road right now and putting in overpasses and stuff like that. They're basically to Bulverde at this point. There's construction just south of Bulverde, but that's growing quickly up along here. And then the area that's still just a little bit slower is this area out here on the west side of Dripping Springs, namely Johnson City and Blanco. And I know, yes, if you took Spanish class or you speak Spanish, I understand that it looks like Blanco, but here in Texas, we pronounce that Blanco. And right down through the middle of Blanco runs the Blanco River. So anyway, just a little local insight there for you. Okay, so when I'm talking about things that are growing, right? Austin is growing this way towards Dripping Springs, and now it's actually starting to get beyond Dripping Springs on 290. There's a little community here we'll talk about in a little bit called Henley. Dripping Springs is also starting to grow south in this little community here called Wimberley, and then on the north side of Canyon Lake, you've got a lot of growth going on, especially in this area right here that is called Fisher. So these are the major corridors around Austin, leading to Austin and bypassing Austin on this side. So this is where the vast majority of our growth is going on right now. Okay, let's get rid of this and we'll zoom in just a little bit further, and let's talk more specifically about Dripping Springs and that surrounding area. So from a functional standpoint, if you're in traffic or trying to get anywhere, if you start in downtown Dripping Springs, okay, in order to get downtown Austin, which is along 290, up Mopac, and then over into downtown along Cesar Chavez or 5th or however you choose to get there, you're looking at about 35 to 45 minutes, as long as it's not at main traffic times, whenever you've got people commuting, rush hour and stuff like that. Okay, so you're about 35 to 45 minutes to downtown Austin from downtown Dripping Springs. And likewise, you're probably about 45 minutes away from Austin Bergstrom International Airport, which is right here. And from Dripping Springs, you just continue along 290, which turns to 71 right here. 290 ends up going north along 35 and then comes out over here on the north side of town. But you would just stay on this road. 290 becomes 71, and it takes you right to the airport. Real nice, easy commute. It's one of the great things about Dripping Springs is how easy it is to get. Even though there's construction down here at what's called the Y right now, it's still pretty easy to get to downtown Austin and over to the airport in what's known as Del Valley. So just from a standpoint of getting around, Dripping Springs has got a great location. Again, on that other video, we talked about how there's a fault line that runs right down through here, and this is the beginning of the Texas Hill Country moving that away. Okay, so Dripping Springs, easy to get around. It's the beginning of the Hill Country. In fact, one of the names that they call Dripping Springs is the gateway to the Hill Country. When you come in, there's a water tower right here, real big and bold on top of the water tower. It says, "Welcome to Dripping Springs, gateway to the Hill Country." So one of the things we're kind of known for. And as you're leaving Austin and going out through Dripping Springs, whether you're trying to go to Fredericksburg or Kerrville or any of those other spots out there, you have to go through Dripping Springs to get there. Okay, now that we have that, I'm going to go ahead and clear this out again. We're going to zoom in just a little bit further. And I'm going to start talking more specifically about other communities that are around Dripping Springs here. So in the other video, again, I talked about Austin, all the outlying areas, the suburbs, the communities that are kind of around Austin, those bedroom communities. Dripping Springs has got a few of those. They're just smaller towns that are kind of satellite towns around Dripping Springs. So let's take a look at what a couple of those are right now. Right here in Dripping Springs, Cedar Valley is a community. I wouldn't say that it's a town. It doesn't have a city council or anything like that. It's just an area that had become known as Cedar Valley. But from Dripping Springs, if you go due west, here's that little community of Henley I was talking about right now. You've got Henley Boil Shack. It's a little restaurant out there, and you've got Dallas, Dally's, which is a kind of a roadhouse bar and grill. It's got a great little live music scene right out here also. But currently, that's about all there is in Henley, and that's changing. Got a couple of new communities out there. Legacy Trails is out there and things like that. So this area is starting to grow pretty quickly. And so what's happening is as you get further out from Austin, the land is more, well, let me rephrase that. The land is more expensive as you get in towards Austin. So the further you go out, the land starts to get less and less expensive. So developers and people looking to build and things like that for the last 5, 6, 7 years have been focused on Dripping Springs area, but now the land around here has gotten expensive. So they're starting to look a little bit further out west. Henley is right in the direct line of that, so it's growing. This is 165 right here, County Road 165. Guys, right about here, there is one of the most beautiful views in this area as you're coming down 165, driving to the southwest. You come over this hill and you can see probably for 100, 150 miles. It's absolutely incredible. One of my favorite views in this area. But that gets you out towards Blanco. So this area in here between Henley and Blanco is also growing. Most of these lots that are getting built and the houses that are getting built, these are large homes and they're large lots, 10 plus acres in this area. The houses, some of the older houses are smaller farmhouses, but people that are building custom homes out here now, you're talking 35, 45, even up to like 7,000 square feet, giant houses out in this area going towards Blanco. Blanco itself is growing as well. There's a lot of new homes being built down in a little area down here called Rock and J Ranch. It's got a great little golf course, really nice little community down in Blanco, and the price points down there are lower. But so again, as we're talking about the area around Dripping Springs and what's growing, out towards Blanco, definitely one thing growing. As you get out past Henley, and again, we're going this way, you can't see it because of my face, but right up here is town of Johnson City. And so you would come out 290 and then turn north on 281. That's where Johnson City is. And again, quite a bit of new growth going on. There's not as many brand new houses and communities as in Blanco, because again, that land in Johnson City is a little bit more expensive. So Blanco has been the cheaper land as of late. So that's why that area has been growing and it's getting close. But Johnson City is a little bit higher because again, I mentioned earlier that Fredericksburg is that, the Napa Valley of Texas. And there's a lot of high property values out here in Fredericksburg. And so that's kind of spilled over into this Johnson City area. So that land has been a little bit more expensive as well. But it's coming pretty quick. So that's to the west. As you go south, you're going to see this little community of Wimberley. Wimberley is another one that is growing. Again, from a price standpoint, typically going to be a higher price point down here. Wimberley is in the valley. The Blanco River runs through Wimberley as well. It comes through Blanco, comes down here through Wimberley, and then continues south just between Kyle and San Marcos. So beautiful little community. It had always been, dating back even to the 60s, Wimberley was kind of a little artist community. And back when, people drove 40 and 50 miles an hour, it was a good hour and 15 minutes from Austin. So it was just far enough outside of Austin that nobody really went there other than the artists that live there. But now Wimberley's another one of those weekend getaways like Fredericksburg is. They've got a ton of little boutiques and shops. One of my favorite ones down there is called My Happy Place, owned by a good friend of mine, Alicia Autry. But Wimberley is really, really hot, especially on weekends. People going down, there's a lot of short-term rentals down there and things like that. And people just go to Wimberley to get away for the weekend and to hang out. But now more and more people are realizing how nice it is. I mean, they've got a nice H-E-B. They've got other stores down there. You can go to Wimberley and not need to be in Austin very much at all. And especially now with people working from home, Wimberley is becoming really popular. Again, for the most part, larger lot sizes, larger homes. The new homes that are getting built that are, say, under 700,000, and some of them are down even into the like 400,000 range, but that's in an area just on the northwest side of Wimberley called Wood Creek. And again, there's a little golf course here. Not going to say it's a real nice golf course, but it's an 18-hole course and it's a lot of fun. But Wood Creek is an area that has a little bit lower cost of entry when you compare it to Wimberley proper. But again, there's a good range of home prices there from about $350 up to as much money as you want to spend. I've got a custom home builder that's building a $10 million home out here on the south side of Wimberley right now. So you can spend as much money as you want down there, but you can also find some stuff that's a little bit more affordable right now. Okay. Another down to the southeast of Dripping Springs is a community called Driftwood. Again, not really a community by any stretch of the imagination. There's not a city council. They don't have a mayor or anything like that. It's just a community. Some of the things that Driftwood is really well known for, right in here, there's a little place you may have heard of called the Salt Lick. It's barbecue. It's Texas barbecue. It's really, really famous. They've done a great job of advertising it over the years. And it's a really cool place to go hang out on weekends, and especially nice spring weekends and fall weekends when it's not too hot. Sit out under the oak trees. It's a pretty good time. And then another thing that Driftwood is becoming known for is kind of surrounding the Salt Lick. And then in this area right here along 967 is a golf course community by Discovery Communities, and it's called Driftwood. Literally, that is the name, Driftwood. And Discovery Communities produces really, really high-end resort type living in areas around the world. They've got places in like Whitefish, Montana. I think they've got Cabo San Lucas and things like that. So they build these really nice high-end golf courses and surround them with luxury homes. So at this point, I think getting into like a 2,500 square foot house down here is probably going to cost you in the neighborhood of $4 million. And again, houses they're doing custom homes that I know that are $10 million plus in this community. Very exclusive community. You have to be a member of the community in order to play golf at this golf course. There are some very, very well-known names. And when I say well-known, like these are household names, celebrities that own property and now own houses in this community. A lot of PGA golfers. Well, I say a lot. I know of about 7 or 8 PGA golfers that own property in here. So that's one of the other things that Driftwood is becoming well known for. Now, the other thing that Driftwood is known for in this area around Dripping Springs is this is probably the highest cost of entry for homes. Again, you're looking at 3+ acre lots and houses that are, you're not going to find a lot of 2,000 and 2,500 square foot houses down here. There's a couple of really nice communities. You've got La Ventana down here and the Vineyard down here, and outside of that, it's a lot of custom homes. And so the houses are going to be pretty big, really nice, gated type communities. And this is one of the highest price points that we're going to have in the area. Okay, as we go around on the north side over here a little bit to the northeast, you've got the community of Bee Cave. Notice, please, there is no S at the end of Bee Cave. It is called Bee Cave, not Bee Cave. Again, a little bit of local knowledge, so you sound like a local. But to be fair, I know plenty of locals that call it Bee Caves also. But anyway, tangent, it is called Bee Cave. Just to the west of Bee Cave out here along 71 is going to be a community called Spicewood. And then also north of Bee Cave up in this area along 620 just south of the lake is Lakeway. Sorry, Lakeway's got a couple of PGA golf courses, really nice community, beautiful, beautiful homes up in there. And again, a little bit getting up there in the cost. At this point, it's pretty hard to find something in Lakeway for less than about $700,000, and that's the same for Bee Cave. It's pretty tough. So anyway, that's kind of the surrounding neighborhoods. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about the school districts because, well, let me go ahead and zero this out as well. Okay, so I'm going to grab this and drag it down. Now, if you saw the other videos that I've done about Austin, I understand school districts. My wife has been a school teacher. I was a school teacher at one point in time and a football coach. So I like to talk about schools because people don't really understand. You've got some of the best schools in the area. You see this river right here. This is the Colorado River. This is actually called Lake Austin in this part as it comes down into downtown Austin, where it changes into Town Lake or Lady Bird Lake. And then out over here, this Point Venture and Lakeway area, this big part of the lake that's Lake Travis. Okay, so some of the best school districts in this area are on the south side of the lake over here. And I'll start here. Dripping Springs is an absolutely amazing school district. And it's a large school district at this point. There was a bond recently trying to figure out if they wanted to build a second high school that is a 6A high school in Dripping Springs, which is the largest classification in Texas. I don't know the exact number of students. It's growing so fast, but at this point, it's over 3,000 students in the high school alone. So there are several elementary and middle schools in and around Dripping Springs. So great school district here in Dripping Springs. Driftwood goes to Dripping Springs. There's a dividing line somewhere down in here. South of that goes to Wimberley High School. Again, an absolutely amazing high school down in Wimberley. A lot smaller though. I believe they're a 3A classification. There's just fewer people down here, but that would be a great place to look if you're looking for a smaller school experience. Dripping Springs, large school. Just on the west side of Austin here, you see this called Westlake Hills. Okay, that's Westlake High School. Has been an athletic power and an academic power for years in Texas. Very good high school. And at some point, everything on this kind of west side of Westlake, this was all Dripping Springs all the way up to the lake. Okay, but I say several years ago, I believe this was sometimes back in the 80s, there was kind of a dividing line put in here. This is Travis County. This is Hayes County on this side. Where Dripping Springs is in Hayes County, Austin and Bee Cave, and that is in Travis County. So that dividing line, they built a new school district, and that's what Lakeway is. This is Lake Travis, or people call it LT, Lake Travis School District. Again, another phenomenal school district. Excels in academics, excels in extracurriculars, athletics, all of that stuff. So on the west side of Austin here, between Wimberley, the smaller one, Lake Travis is another 6A, Westlake is another 6A, and then I'll even throw down here in Austin ISD, down in this area right here is Bowie High School, which is another 6A, and again has long been known for being one of the top schools in all of Austin ISD. So these are your high schools in this area, and they are absolutely phenomenal. So it's worth talking about these high schools when you're moving to the area and understanding where they are. Now let's go ahead and zero this out again. And I want to talk a little bit about just some areas around Dripping Springs and what you're going to find. Okay, and I'm going to go into some of these communities that have been built, subdivisions and stuff. So right here, look, if it's big enough to make it onto Google Maps, you know that this is a large subdivision. So this is a subdivision called Belterra. It is on the tail end. It's been being built for about 25 years, somewhere in that range, and they're just about completely built out at this point. So Belterra, I think it has somewhere around 3,200 homes, and they range from houses that, again, were built in the late 90s to brand new construction, size from 1,500 square feet to 4,500 square feet, so a huge range. And at this point, you're probably not going to find a lot in there under 500. I haven't seen a $500,000 house in a while, but some of the ones at the front, the older houses, maybe you could find one that hasn't been renovated, and you could still get it for around 500. But for the most part, they're going to go, starting at around 6 and going up north of $1 million here in Belterra. Some of the things that are really nice about Belterra, at the front, there's this little thing called the Belterra Village Shopping Center, and it's right along 290, and it's essentially a big strip mall. But there's a movie theater, there's a lot of places to eat, and now at this point, it's expanded across to what's called Ledgestone Shopping Center, because there's a little community right here called Ledgestone. And so on both sides of the road now, there's a lot of shopping, a lot of things to eat, dentist office, doctor's offices, stuff like that. So really good for the people in Belterra. I mean, with the Evo movie theater, if you live in Belterra or Ledgestone or even High Point, which is a little further down over here, if you've got a golf cart, you can do all of your shopping and eating and stuff like that, and never even take your car out of the driveway. And you can even walk there, especially if you're closer, because I think probably from the back of Belterra to the village here is maybe 2 miles, if that. So really cool thing. Now, Belterra is the closest community into Austin that goes to Dripping Springs ISD. In fact, Belterra's addresses are Austin addresses. This is 78737, and that dividing line is kind of somewhere right in here roughly. On this side is 78620. This is Dripping Springs. Mailing address over here is still Austin. So that's Belterra, great neighborhood. And there's a lot of people here from Belterra that live there because it's such an easy commute to this area right in here. And this little road right here is called Southwest Parkway, okay? Southwest Parkway. Excuse my writing. Now, Southwest Parkway is kind of a little mini tech corridor that a lot of people don't know about, but there are some really powerful tech players right in through this area right here. And a lot of those people choose to live out here in Belterra because they can send their kids to the Dripping Springs schools, but still be close enough into Austin to go to their jobs, get to the airport again, which is really, really close over here. From Belterra, if you go, when there's not massive traffic time, it's 30 minutes to the airport. It's a simple commute. And again, you're about 30 minutes to downtown Austin. So Belterra is that westernmost portion. As you're going in, you've got quite a few older communities all around through here, Heritage or Heritage Oaks, Sunset Canyon, north and south. You've got some pretty major ones in here, the Preserve and things like that, higher end. And then you've got another large community right in here. It's not going to be as large as Belterra, but it's called Headwaters, another master plan community. They've been building houses there for about 6 years now, 5, 6, something like that. This is known for some houses that have major views, and the vast majority of them, and I don't want to say all because I think there's a couple that don't, but just about all the houses in here back up to Greenbelt, so you don't have that neighbor right behind you. Really nice community right here. Okay. And then as we kind of go south out of Dripping Springs, there's another large master plan community here. This is called Calaterra. So you've got Belterra, Calaterra, Headwaters. Again, Calaterra, there were 5 or 6 builders in there. They're continuing to build still to this day. There's some custom home sections in there as well. So if you wanted to build a custom home but still be in a community setting, Calaterra would be a great option for you. And this is about 5 minutes south of the intersection with in Dripping Springs 12 and 290. Okay. On the west side of town, you've got Arrowhead Ranch. Those houses are starting probably at about 550 now, and they're just wrapping up with some of the last builds in there. A much smaller community, I think about 500 homes. And then next to that is an estate community called Bunker Ranch. And these are going to be acre plus lots. Houses in there are pretty much starting at $1 million and going up, but that's just on the west side of town. And for location's sake, the high school is kind of right in here. So these two are your closest communities to the high school, aside from a couple of older ones in there that are kind of dotted around the area. These are your 2 new build communities that are closest to the high school. And then right here off of this road, which is Bell Springs Road, you're going to have another new kind of estate. I think they're half acre plus lots, about half acre to an acre. This is called Esperanza. Nice, beautiful, smaller community. I think about 150 homes in there. And then on the north side, you've got a couple of that are completed, but they were being built as recently as 2 and 3 years ago. You've got Founders Ridge in here, and I'm going to have to zoom in a little bit further for a couple of these other ones. So, but before, I'll go ahead and zoom in now and let you know about some of the other ones that are coming soon in this area. All right, so as we zoom in, okay, and I'm going to go specifically on this north side because there's some pretty cool stuff going on. All right, so in terms of new communities here, I was just telling you about Founders Ridge, which is basically here. You've got Legacy Trails, which is here. And I think I said Legacy Trails earlier out in Henley, and if I did, I was wrong. That's Legacy Hills. This is Legacy Trails. But what we've got going on now, and this is closer in, we've got Texas Heritage Village was built down in here, and those finished up about 6 years ago, 5 years ago, I believe. That's a Meritage community. And back in here, Meritage has started and is continuing to build a community called Big Sky. Okay, most of these homes are 2-story homes. There are some 1-stories in here. They're going to start at about 1,100 square feet and go up to about 2,300 or 2,400 square feet. And prices right now for a brand new home, you can still get in under $500,000 in this area right here. So this is Big Sky Ranch, and I'll just do Big Sky Ranch, BSR. And then right in here on this side of 12, they just started a new community called Heritage. Now, Heritage is going to be really, really unique. And I'm going to go back and tell you a couple of other things about Dripping Springs. Dripping Springs wants to keep a small town feel. They want to keep this downtown area and the things that are close in, they want to keep it walkable. So even from Founders Ridge, there are trails that go back in here that you can walk all the way downtown. You can get down to Mercer Street, which is right here. You've got some great boutiques on Mercer Street, Acapon Brewing, the Barber Shop, which is a bar, Mazama Coffee, Hudson's on Mercer, which is is kind of a live music venue, Grawlix, which is another bar, some art shops and stuff like that. So all of that stuff is walkable, even from as far north as Founders Ridge here. But Heritage is then going to continue kind of to be built in this area here over time, and it's going to be interconnected with the downtown area with trails going in there. So if you're living in this Heritage area, you can easily walk to that downtown area. Part of this is a revitalization idea that they have, that they really want to draw more attention to downtown Dripping Springs and the shops and things that are here. So this Heritage community is really going to be good for that. Okay, and then the other thing that they're doing with, you've got it seems like the developments are a little bit scattered. You got Big Sky Ranch here, you got Texas Heritage Village here, you got Heritage here, and Legacy Trails and stuff like that. But what they're doing, and here's that Headwaters community over here. There's more builders than David Weekley, just so you know. I think there's 6 builders here, but that's just what's popping up on Google Maps right now. But what they're doing with the developers is they're making the developers put in roads to give us additional infrastructure in and around Dripping Springs. Because right now, if you want to get up over here, let's say to Ranch Park, you've got to come 290 all the way to downtown Dripping Springs and then go north on 12. And this intersection here has gotten really, really crowded. But what's coming is through Headwaters, these are going to be some interconnecting roads that are going to create a little bit of a, kind of some mini loops around town. So you're going to have access options around town. And the reason I bring that up is because this Heritage community, they're putting in a road that is an extension of, I can never remember the name of the road that comes in right over here behind the high school. But anyway, that road is actually going to extend around the high school and over to 12. So it's going to give us this little, again, mini loop, so that if you're coming down from 12 trying to get to the west side of town, you don't have to go to downtown. You're going to be able to skirt around on this little mini loop. So I think City Council is doing a really good job with that stuff, trying to help out, alleviate some of these traffic problems. And I'll go ahead and say it, guys, if traffic wise, the worst traffic in this town, let me delete that. The worst traffic in this town is right here in downtown Dripping Springs. Okay, and the reason that is because our only high school is right here, and we've got an elementary and a middle school right here, and the vast majority of our neighborhoods are either that way, and then you've got Calaterra and a few other ones south. And so in the morning especially, and then in the afternoon when high school is letting out, everybody's coming to this intersection to get that away, or they're coming this way trying to get back to their houses going home in the evening. So our traffic revolves around when school gets in and gets let out, and it is all around this area right here. And then, around the schools, we've got an elementary school up here. So that's where the vast majority of the traffic is in and around Dripping Springs. So one last thing that I want to kind of chat about. Okay, let me clear this out one last time. And the last thing that I kind of want to chat about is a couple of other things that are going on around the region and where Dripping Springs is in reference to those. I kind of started laughing to myself a while ago because I'm going to start calling this area out here on the west side of Bastrop, I'm going to start calling this Elonville or maybe Muskville. I don't know. But this is the area that Elon Musk is absolutely transforming right now. So if you, again, here from Dripping Springs, if you go west on 290 and then continue on 71 past the airport, you are about, we'll call it 50 minutes from an area here on the north side of Del Valle. That is where Tesla is building their Gigafactory. Okay, this is where they're going to build the trucks. This is where they're building cars. They're already building batteries, I believe. This thing is huge. I think they're undergoing, they started building it, I believe, 3 years ago, and they are already going to take on an additional 200,000 square foot expansion. They've already outgrown this facility. And if you take off from the airport and you see the top of the Tesla building, it is absolutely, it makes Google or Amazon warehouses look tiny. It is huge. And talk about bringing in a lot of workers in this area. So this is where Tesla is. In this area right in here around Wildwood, this is where he's purchased land for SpaceX and also the boring company is over here as well. So Elon is moving his three largest companies. Well, I guess not anymore. Twitter's bigger than these two, but Elon's moving his three largest companies outside of Twitter into this area between downtown Austin and Bastrop. Guys, this is fundamentally changing this area. So just wanted to kind of give you a reference on that. That stuff, especially if you're going to be over here, potentially in the Belterra area, and there's some other neighborhoods down here along 1826. You got Sky Ridge in here, you got Parton in here, Rimrock. Well, all of this stuff is commutable to Tesla. Okay, not an easy commute. You're talking 45 minutes, but we've got people that are coming from California that have been in 2-hour commutes. So driving an hour out here to the boring company really isn't too bad, especially when you get on the other side of Austin. You're going into opposite of morning traffic or opposite of afternoon traffic. So it's going to get a little bit easier as you're driving. So that stuff is commutable from Dripping Springs. Downtown Austin, if you've heard of the in downtown Austin, if you've heard of the Army Futures Command, that's the only Army base that's not an actual Army base. It's a part of a metropolitan area. So that is here in downtown Austin. That's another thing that's easily commutable from just about every part of Dripping Springs. Again, 45 minutes, maybe an hour if you're on this west side, Arrowhead and Bunker Ranch. You're about an hour from downtown Austin, but again, commutable. And then one of the other things I want to mention is some of these other neighborhoods here on the north side. As you get up here to this road called Hamilton Pool Road, and the closer you get to this road, now you're almost equidistant between Dripping Springs and the Bee Cave area, and then getting into Austin. So you've got the ability to commute. You could go to Dripping Springs if you wanted to. You could come down through here on this little road that I live on called Fitzhugh Road, or you could even commute to Bee Cave or to Austin in here along 71. So as you get in some of the more outlying areas in Dripping Springs, you've got different options for commuting. Again, here through Driftwood, you've got 1826 that you can get into Austin. There's a lot of commercial development going on in Buda and Kyle right now. This is the old Buda Highway that's coming down through here. So you can, from Driftwood, if you want to commute to Buda, really easy commute. Kyle is a little bit more difficult. You have to come down 150, but again, commutable. This is why Dripping Springs has become so popular. You've got one of the best school districts in the area, and depending on what part of the Dripping Springs area you live in, you can commute to so many different parts of town. It just makes things really, really easy. All right, last thing I'm going to clear out for is I'm going to talk about at least one. Yeah, we'll just talk about one because the other ones haven't been discussed yet. But there is one more giant subdivision coming to the Dripping Springs area. They're in planning right now and all of that. But I told you Belterra was roughly about 3,200 homes, give or take, right here. Okay. Well, in this area, this creek right here, by the way, this is Barton Creek. And if you've heard of Barton Springs, downtown Austin, Barton Creek actually runs down into Barton Springs. Okay. Well, on the south side of Barton Creek, in this area right here, is going to be a community, and it's changing names a few times, but it's been known as Double L Ranch, and it's also been known as Anarene. ENE, I believe the way it's called. So Anarene or Double L Ranch. Guys, this is going to be Belterra 2.0. It's going to be north of 3,000 doors in here. There's going to be commercial along the front. I believe there's going to be multifamily component, just like there is at Belterra. You're going to have estate lots back in here, so you're going to be able to do really large homes on 1 to 2 acres. And then you're also going to have, again, just like in Belterra, you're also going to have condo type and garden homes for somebody that may want a lock and leave lifestyle, or even just a vacation home in this area. Double L or Anarene, this is going to be a major, major player in the Dripping Springs area moving forward. So that's Dripping Springs. I'm going to do several other videos on this where I'm going to talk more about the schools and things like that, but that just gives you an idea of where Dripping Springs is. Guys, remember, if you find this content valuable, make sure that you subscribe to this channel and hit the bell notification, because I bring content to you like this every week. And if you're moving to the area, considering moving to the area, you're going to need somebody local that you can lean on to find these things out. And my tag tagline is local knowledge isn't expensive, it's priceless, and it really is, especially when you're coming into an area as large as Dripping Springs, in an area as large as the Austin MSA. Having somebody that's lived here since 1999, my wife is original to Austin, so talk about knowing the area. But anyway, it helps to have somebody on your side that knows exactly what they're talking about, and not only knows what's been here a long time, but also what's coming down the road too. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, and we will see you on the next video. Cheers.